Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Michelle Morris from Consolidated Planning Group. We have got a great webinar today focused on, educational opportunities after high school. You don't want your student just to graduate to the couch after they're done with high school. So what opportunities are out there and available for them? And where can you find some extra supports and encouragement and patience for our specific students? So again, thank you for being here today. I want to let you know that I cannot see you or hear you. So if you have any questions or comments, I love to hear those. You'll just need to put them in the chat box. I will keep an eye on the chat box as I'm presenting to make sure that any questions that come up, I can get those answered for you. We always record our webinars and put them on our YouTube channel. So I've included the link to our YouTube channel in the chat box. I've also put my phone number and my email address so that you can reach out to me directly if you would like to schedule an appointment with Consolidated Planning Group, or if you have any more questions after the webinar has finished. So again, I am Michelle from Consolidated Planning Group. I want to thank Nicole Crowder at Conroe ISD for helping spread the word about today's webinar. So Consolidated Planning Group is a special needs focused financial planning firm. We're located just outside of Houston, but we serve families all across Texas and all across the United States. As some of the families we've been working with have moved to other states, our business has been growing right along with them. So it's been a wonderful past couple of years as we're growing and providing support and help for more and more people. Families come to us for things like protection plans. What happens if you or the other parent or the main breadwinner in your household becomes disabled or passes away too early? How can you protect your family against things like that? We help with care plans for your loved one. We help you think about that future cost of care, making sure they have all of their benefits in place, making sure your money is in the right buckets, and then that you can afford their future care as well as your own retirement needs and your own lifetime planning. We do a lot with transition planning. This, when high school finishes, is one major transition that our kids go through. Also, when they turn 18, because at that point, a lot of laws change and SSI changes. There's also a transition period when the child moves out of the parent's home into whatever their next living situation is going to be. And then finally, when those parents pass away, and they go through that grief and that transition period as well. So we help you think about those times that are coming in your life and how to prepare for them. We help families understand ABLE accounts, and we help you connect with attorneys who know all about special needs trusts and wills and guardianship if any of that is needed. And we're here to advocate for you and to educate you. You know, there are over 263,000 financial advisors across the United States. It is very, very hard, probably, to even drive down one residential street in the United States without having someone who lived on that street who is a financial advisor. There's so many of us. But out of those 263,000 financial advisors, fewer than 200 focus on special needs planning the way that we do. And it's very important because these are nuanced rules and regulations, and you need to know, what to do to get your benefits and how to make sure that those benefits aren't interrupted or discontinued. So when you are here with Consolidated Planning Group, you can trust that you are truly with experts in the field. We are members of the Special Needs Planning Academy, We are National Social Security Advisors, and I am a chartered special needs consultant through the American College of Financial Services. We've been doing this for over 30 years, and we are fully licensed in all areas of, life insurance and securities, investments, and planning. So, again, today we're going to be talking about college planning for families. If you have a loved one who has any kind of intellectual or developmental disability, you know that their path might be a little bit different from other people's paths. And especially in this day and age of social media, it's so hard not to compare your child to others. But it's very, very important because you want to keep an open mind and you want to make sure that your child has all of the opportunities that are available to them and are taking advantage of those opportunities. And I think that sometimes by comparing your child to others, you're kind of shutting them down from accepting some of the opportunities that they can take advantage of. A lot of people use the analogy of a flower and don't move the flower from its environment. You fix the environment by giving it more water or more light or whatever. I do like that analogy, but my favorite is the analogy of popcorn, because popcorn is my very favorite snack, and I like to make it on the stovetop, just like my grandpa taught me. So when you put your pan on the stovetop, you put some oil in, you put all those kernels in all at the same time, but they never pop all at once. There's some that pop up front, there's a bunch that pop towards the middle, and there's some stragglers left behind popping at the end when I'm trying to pour the popcorn into my bowl and um, and then there's some kernels that just never pop at all. And that's okay. We don't compare them to each other. Why didn't you pop when this one over here did? Um, it's just that they're different, and that's no problem. So maybe rather than a traditional 4 or 6 year college experience, maybe a transition program would be beneficial for your loved one. Maybe in between high school and college, they go to some kind of transition program. Trade schools and community colleges are great because they're usually far less expensive, closer to home so that your child can still maybe live at home and have your ongoing support. Um, and the programs are typically shorter. So if you think, oh gosh, my student just finished with all these years of elementary, middle, and high school, and now they have to go 4 more years of college, maybe a shorter program is good. Of course, there are lots of great university degree programs, but what about like a certificate program or just training and getting your license in doing something? There are plenty of careers that do not require a 4 year college degree. Maybe starting your student off with just 1 or 2 courses to see if college is a good fit for them at all. And again, living at home might be a great support, but there are also supports available on college campuses and specialized dorm programs that are available to help your student. What about partnering with organizations that will help give mentorship and guidance to students who are on campus? Those exist, and we have access to some of those for you. Of course, there's always the Texas Workforce Commission. They do a lot of great work through their VR training programs. Um, Summer earn and learn, and pre-employment training services. And then, think about the career path that your child might want to take and how can you get into that career path, um, maybe in a roundabout way, maybe by volunteerism or maybe by workshops and taking smaller course classes like that. Maybe make it a great hobby for them but not necessarily their work setting. There's so many options, but don't compare yourselves to your neighbors. Don't compare your child to their nieces and I mean to your nieces and nephews, their siblings, their cousins. It's just not worth it. All of our children are unique. So, one of the first things that I mentioned in options for your loved one is day and transition programs. So, there are a lot of great programs in Texas and across the United States. Today, we're going to focus kind of on Texas, but if you are out of state, please reach out to me, and I'm happy to share lists of programs with you that we've gathered for other states. Um, a day or a transition program can be really, really helpful in getting your student out of the house after they've graduated high school and working towards, either a vocation or, working towards getting a job or just practicing some of those life skills. Um, Thinking about how are they going to live on their own? What training do they need for that? So these are some great programs around Texas. Now, I took a lot of time putting these slides together, making sure all of these little links work. But if I've messed up, please don't hesitate to send me an email and just let me know if a link needs to be fixed, or maybe they've changed their website or something like that. But if you click on something and it doesn't go where you expect it to, please let me know. All right. So, there are 6 traits that students with learning disabilities, well, any students really, there are 6 main traits that students need to be practicing and figuring out before they go to college. And that is, these 6 traits were, looked at through Goldberg's study. Goldberg did this study that says that successful participants in college show self-awareness. They want to be aware of their strengths and weaknesses in both academic and non-academic areas. Of course, it's very important to know, what you're going to struggle with and what's going to be easy for you. Where are you going to find those little areas of frustration? And what's going to make your day better when you do? Thinking about your strengths and weaknesses and your own personality is something that you can be working on with your student at home while they're in high school. And again, just like all of these traits, these are things that you should be practicing with your student. With self-awareness comes understanding their diagnosis. Have them repeat, back to you as if they were telling their doctor maybe, what's going on with you? Have them be able to tell you and talk to you and describe some of their strengths and their weaknesses, their challenges that come along with their diagnosis. Being proactive is so important in the college setting. You have to plan, you have to go to class, you have to think about what tomorrow brings and what you need to do to prepare for tomorrow. You need to think about setting out um, goals and calendars and getting your assignments done, things like that. So being proactive, and especially when you're seeing that something might be more difficult than you thought, how am I going to, before it gets too difficult to handle, uh, get help and seek out support in this area? Perseverance, that feeling of try and try again, you're not going to get it on the first time. Nobody does anything perfect on their first try. So perseverance is very important and not giving up. If something doesn't work the first time, your student needs to understand that that's okay. It's going to be fine. You just keep trying and keep working at it. Maybe try different ways and see what works best for you. Goal setting, I mentioned, making sure that they're taking care of their responsibilities in school. The presence and the use of effective social support systems. What we mean there is that your students need to know what resources are available to them, what support systems there are, clubs and groups and things like that. They need to not only know about them, but they also need to actually get out and use them. Go to the student support center, go to the clinic if they're feeling ill, go to the job uh, placement people on the campus, whatever. I can't think of what word I'm trying to look for there, but understanding that there are social support systems and you need to go ask for help from them. But then the next word in that little phrase there is effective. There are many social support systems that might not be very supportive or very effective or be supporting your child in the correct way. You don't want them to get with a group of students who only want to party and your child thinks, well, this is great. This is my friends. This is my support group, but maybe they're not supporting them in the ways that you would want your child to be supported in. So help them understand where to get effective support. And then emotional coping strategies. Of course, this is something that you can be working on with your student. Hopefully you have been, because life is long, and starting to just thinking about coping with emotions when you're 18 sounds like you're a little behind the game. But there are many, many ways that your child can cope with life when things get difficult, whether it be zoning out and playing a game for a while with maybe a timer, or screaming into a pillow, or exercising, or something that is kind of silly, but something that I do. I have this jar of all of my different colored markers. And I have one of those adult coloring books where it's just all really intricate swirls and designs. And sometimes when things get to be too much, you can catch me logging off of my computer, logging out of the work, and coloring for a little while just to get my mind off of all of the stress. So help your child think about some emotional coping strategies. Maybe it's a call to mom that works, or if they call you too often, maybe it's a call to someone else. um so there are accommodations in college and in the workplace. It doesn't automatically transfer from whatever accommodations they had in high school. They're not just going to automatically transfer over to college, but you can get some accommodations. There is usually an office of disability at any college or university campus that you're looking at, and you kind of want to get in touch with those offices of disability and find out, how many people are working there? What programs do you offer? Are you a one person office of disability and you're completely overwhelmed and you're not really able to help my student? Do you offer robust programs that are really going to be good? What's going on? Different schools are different, and not every office of disability is created equally. When you're taking SAT and ACT exams and AP testing, even when you're taking college courses and graduate level exams, you can have accommodations for these tests. Now, you will need to contact the AP board or the Praxis, or any of these organizations. The College Board, I think, is who does the ACT. Check into those organizations, those companies, and see what requirements they have in terms of getting accommodations. You might need to have updated testing done in order to get those accommodations. You might need to show them, yes, we have a diagnosis of whatever, but be prepared. Figure out what accommodations your student needs and why, and go get them. Go ask for those. Now, like I said, the 504 and the IEP is not going to just transfer over to higher education. So you're going to have to be a little bit proactive in that. Now, The other thing I want you to think about is, when your child goes away to college or goes to the workplace for the first time, they don't need to talk to mom and dad anymore, and they're usually not interested in talking to mom and dad. So having a power of attorney or a FERPA, which is the form that schools require to be able to talk to parents, having these things in place before your student leaves is a great idea, not just for neurodiverse students, but for anybody. My son, when he went away to college, moved to Chicago from Houston. And even though much of my family is in Chicago and I'm from that area, I know, like, well, what happens if he gets really sick or he gets hurt and he goes to the hospital? He's over 18. There's nobody standing by saying, okay, let's call your mommy. So even for my neurotypical kid, we made sure that we had a power of attorney in case something happens. Now, workplaces are required to provide reasonable accommodations, as long as those accommodations don't create an undue hardship to the business. So, yes, maybe a business could put in wheelchair ramps, but can you require a business to put in a full elevator? That's a little bit much. Um, you can check the Department of Labor and the Job Accommodation Network for more information about what would be considered a reasonable accommodation. Okay. I see a question here. I did see the question about the state of Pennsylvania. I do believe we already have a client in Pennsylvania. So Tracy, I will look for information about that. I would really appreciate it if you would email me or call me later and remind me. Okay, so Tanya wants to know, I recently sent off for accommodations from the College Board from my daughter, which they mostly accepted. Yay! It's always good to have confirmation that these things I'm saying are actually still happening. However, being legally blind, she uses a CCTV, which magnifies things greatly, and she uses it every day, but they don't want to allow anything that plugs in. So are these things appealable in your experience? Um, Tanya, I would keep talking to them about it. If they don't want something that plugs in, is there another kind of device that she could use that would accomplish the same goals? I don't know. But I would definitely keep talking to them about it, maybe even escalate and ask to speak with someone a little higher or to find out. Now, another thing to keep in mind with ACT and SAT testing and all of that stuff, if your student is thinking about going to a community college or a certificate program or something like that, you don't necessarily have to have SAT and ACT testing done. It's not required for all programs. So before you worry too much about getting accommodations for these things, make sure that you actually need them to begin with. Yeah, I'm sorry about that, Tanya. I hope you're able to get that figured out and make sure that she is able to see enough to take these tests. So there are some educational programs beyond high school, and here in Texas, there's almost all of the colleges in Texas have some sort of great program that is going to be able to help your student. Now, I'm going to say this here. This applies to all of the programs and the transition programs and day program, everything that we're talking about today. We don't work for them and they don't work for us. We don't get any kind of kickback or referral fees or any bonuses or anything like that for referring you to these programs. These are just things that we know about and that we've heard about from our clients that we wanted to inform you about. Okay, so if you go to Lone Star College and you go through their Life Path program, that's great. We're not getting anything from that. We don't have any connection to that. We're just letting you know that it's out there, so you should check it out. We've heard great things about almost all of these programs from various clients that we've worked with. And they can certainly help with support on campus. These are on campus programs for the most part. Now, if you're worried about, is my student even going to be successful in a college level coursework? Are they even going to be able to pull this off? Should I really be pressuring them to do this? The Texas Success Initiative Assessment, it is out there, and you can use this test as a way to determine whether or not a student is ready for college level coursework. This will go over, general areas, reading, writing, math. But sometimes schools can use this tool to see if your student is going to be ready for college, if that is the path that they want and that you want for them. Now, if you're not in Texas, who was that in? Tracy. Tracy, maybe this will help you with Pennsylvania. ThinkCollege.net is a great resource that provides a directory of colleges and universities and those educational programs that they have for students with intellectual disabilities. So you can look at this website and search by state or programs that they offer, the length of the program, options for living on campus, all of that kind of stuff. ThinkCollege.net. It's a really, really great website. They also have scholarships listed on there and other information that might be helpful for you. Now, we know Jody Glau, she is an independent educational consultant. So she owns her own company called Custom College Consulting, and Jody's contact information is here on the screen for you. So if you think that this will be helpful, you can contact Jody. She specializes in working with students who have learning challenges as they find their best fit in post-secondary education. So she's going to help you look at different schools and what is available and what might be a good fit for your student. CLE, the College Living Experience. Now, CLE does work at various colleges across the country, and they provide guidance and instruction for things like academics and career development, independent living, social development, things like that to give supports to your students. You can contact the CLE, experiencecle.com. Their phone number is there and their email if you want to contact and get more information about CLE, the college living experience. Okay. Now, when you get these slides later on today, all these links are going to be clickable. Everything should be ready to go for you. Workforce Solutions, of course, they offer a lot of great programs. Now, sometimes they are quite behind. Sometimes we've been hearing that they're a little understaffed or there's a high turnover rate for staff. But when you get a VR, a workforce solutions counselor who is good, it is worth their weight in gold. They can help support training to look for high skill, high growth occupations. They can help you understand what career might be a good fit for your loved one, what industries and occupations are growing, and where they would be able to find a good opportunity, a good job opportunity. They can provide information about wages and salaries and job openings, job growth, as well as, what training and education do I need for this kind of job? And then they do also all kinds of transition services and training services where they can look at, what are your vocational skills and interests, and how can we translate that to the job market? Um, how do you get a internship? They can help you find an internship or a job. Uh, they typically at Texas Workforce Solutions work with students who are between 14 to 22 years old, and they have a website where you can go. Unfortunately, these ones are not clickable, but if you just go to, this one at the top is clickable. There you go. So you'll go to VR, or just Google Texas or VR program. Most states have some kind of vocational rehab program. So Google your state and vocational rehab for some of these things. Now, typically, vocational rehab programs run by the state have deep pockets. So if you need them to help pay for training or testing, or sometimes even college courses, they can help you pay for those things. So, um, job shadowing, career mentorship, educational counseling, all of these things, how to be a team player, how to, be a problem solver, how to know your rights surrounding your disability and what your workplace and cannot do, how to use your money and manage time. Those are the kinds of things that you can help uh, get through the Texas Workforce Solutions or the Texas Workforce Commission. Now, there's a question in the chat box. Is it difficult to switch who you get assigned to? Um, Yes and no. I've heard stories where people get a counselor, and by the time the counselor contacts them because they're kind of backed up, they finally get a counselor and then that person quits or leaves, and then you kind of have to start over. I've heard some bad stories, but I've also heard great stories that when you finally get through, it is so, so worth it. So I would definitely say to be that squeaky wheel for your child when it comes to these programs, be that squeaky wheel, make those phone calls, get in line, do whatever you have to do, because these are really great programs. Is it true that they should be telling students they absolutely cannot pursue a master's degree? Um, I don't know why anybody would tell anybody that they absolutely cannot do anything. I'm not sure about that, Tonya, or what exactly what you've dealt with over there, but no, I don't know anything about that. So, what else? What about funding? How are you going to pay for all this stuff? That's a big question that people want to talk about a lot. Well, first of all is the FAFSA. Now, it used to be available October 1st every year. Recently, they've started sending it out in December, but regardless of when it comes out, you need to fill out the FAFSA every single year that your child is going to school. And it doesn't matter if you think you make too much money, you think you're not going to get any funding from the government because you make too much. No, fill out your FAFSA, because this is how schools provide merit scholarships, they provide student aid, the government provides Pell Grants and student loans to help families be able to afford college. And even if you think you make too much, you should definitely fill out your FAFSA. They've made it easier over the years, so don't be panicked about that. Of course, scholarships are going to help, and we're going to talk a little bit more in depth about scholarships in a minute, but there are scholarships based on nearly anything. Community-based, school-based, both high school and whatever college your student is looking at. There are scholarships based on what disability or disease they have. Sports, music, band, clubs in school, theater, almost anything. You can look for scholarships. Now, we recommend that you be very careful about keeping track of what those scholarship deadlines are and making sure if you've gotten all your application materials turned in. Uh, Allison, the owner of our company, is a little extra. She likes to say that she made a spreadsheet and she had like folders, and that's her style of doing things. I I used a notebook for mine. I don't mind handwriting stuff, but you do need to do your research. Look for those high worth scholarships. Look for scholarships where you can maybe use the same application essay or information for multiple scholarships. Get more out of your effort. Tracy wants to know, do we fill out a FAFSA even if we pursue trade school? Absolutely. My one son went away to college in Chicago. My other son went to the Aviation Institute for Mechanics. So it's a trade school where they're learning to work on airplanes. And yes, the FAFSA was very helpful in that as well, because you still have to pay for it, and it's still a program that can be paid for with funds from the government. So definitely, even if you're going to trade school, fill out the FAFSA. Now, another way to help pay for college would be a 529 college savings plan. That's your 529C. The money in your 529 college savings plan can only be used for educational needs. So that would be room and board, tuition, books, computer, things like that that are required for educational purposes. The ABLE account is another way that you can save for college, because you can use money from your ABLE account, which is a 529A. You can use that for college and educational needs. You can also use the ABLE account for pretty much anything that your child needs, as long as they have a disability that started before age 26. And in terms of funding, the vocational rehab program that we've just spoken about can help provide support if it's in line with the goals that are in your student's plan. If that is going to help them find competitive employment, they might be able to help pay for actual coursework. Okay, so let's get into some of these scholarships. Now, first things first, if your child was ever in the foster care system, or if they were adopted through the state, they basically get free college from the state. So if your child is adopted, make sure you click on that link and go to the Department of Family and Protective Services and get information about that. Another place to look for scholarships would be through the child life specialist at whatever clinic your family uses. So that might be Texas Children's, Memorial Hermann, Baylor College of Medicine, wherever your family goes for your child's clinical needs and their physicians, they might have a list of scholarships available. And then there are these scholarship searches. You can go down this list and be on the computer for days looking at different scholarship opportunities. So like I said, try to focus on larger scholarships, scholarships that maybe you can write one essay and send that same essay to 3 or 4 applications, things like that. One great option here in Texas is the Terry Foundation. These scholarships have been available since 1987. The Terry Foundation Scholarship has been the largest provider of private scholarships for all of Texas high school graduates. So what this does is generally provides full ride scholarships for the student based on things like their leadership potential and character, their scholastic record and ability, and their financial need. So what happens is your students can apply for the Terry Foundation Scholarship through these different universities that are listed. So there's 11 Texas public schools that your students can apply to and apply to receive the Terry Foundation Scholarship. So let's say that I'm just going to take the first one on the list, the Texas A&M at College Station. Let's say your child gets the Terry Foundation Scholarship at College Station and they get accepted to College Station, they've got their scholarship, but that wasn't really their first choice. Guess what? You can go to College Station for 1 year and then transfer to any of the other schools on this list and keep your scholarship. So there is a way, if your child just really wanted to go to UT San Antonio instead, but they got into Texas A&M at College Station, they can transfer later. This scholarship is really looking for community leadership, well-rounded personalities, grit. They look for people who do a lot of volunteer work. And we're talking about meaningful volunteer work, not just, oh, once a month they work the nursery at church. We're talking about meaningful going and doing very good work in the community. That's what they're looking for. They're looking for people who are really out there volunteering and using their time to help others. Okay. So there is a question in the chat box. FAFSA finances, do you have to pay back? So when you fill out the FAFSA, the free application for federal student aid, let me go back to that slide a little bit. When you fill out the FAFSA, you're going to get, first of all, they send your financial information to the school. So the school knows if they want to give you any merit scholarships. And a merit scholarship is just basically, yeah, we see you need a little bit of help and we think you would be a good student. We want you to come here. So here's some money. Of course, scholarships don't have to be paid back. FAFSA will also give you access to student loans. Those do have to be paid back, but it has much more favorable loan terms than going to a bank or any other kind of funding. You are able to get things like offset your payments until after you're done with school, or if you can put a pause on your payments, you have low interest rates, stuff like that. The FAFSA will also help with getting Pell Grants from the government. A grant is something you do not need to pay back. And there's student loans that students can get, and there's student loans that parents can get. So all of these things, yes, federal student loans that a parent gets. I think it's called Parent Plus loans or something like that. So yes, and all of that comes to you from the FAFSA. Some of it is just free money that you don't have to pay back, and some of it you do have to pay back. All right, so I've talked about the Terry Foundation. If you're interested in going to a public university in Texas, you should apply for this. Okay, now begins the large list that we've put together for you for various scholarships. Again, I hope that all of these links work. If not, just send me a quick email and I'll fix that for next time. But whether you have a student who is deaf or blind or has epilepsy or cystic fibrosis or, any kind of diagnosis, you can Google that diagnosis plus scholarship and see what's available. There's Hemophilia Foundation scholarships. The MS Society has a scholarship. A scholarship for just learning disabilities in general. A scholarship for kids with diabetes. Like I said, there are so many out there, and you can spend days looking at all of these. So just try to organize yourself, make a list or a spreadsheet or however you need to do it. Maybe some check boxes. Have we applied? When is the deadline? When will we find out? All of that kind of information would be helpful. wheelchairs, direct plus loans for parents, thank you. Medical scrub scholarships, knee walker scholarships. Just get out there and start looking. There's plenty of scholarships for the visually impaired, because I know that we have a parent here today who has a student who is visually impaired. So I definitely want you to check out these scholarships. Let me check the chat box real quick. Okay, Parent Plus loan. Thank you so much for putting notes in the chat box about how to get some of these loans and things. I love it when you guys are helpful sharing resources out there. I think there's, yeah, one more screen about scholarships. Not only are there all of these medically related scholarships and scholarships that are related to your diagnosis, but there are so many fun ones out there too. Like maybe you read a book and write an essay about it if your child is into literature. Or, you know, there's that one that Duct Tape has, where if you make an outfit for prom using duct tape, you can get a big scholarship. If your child is into like fashion design, wouldn't that be fun? Um, you know, there's so much out there. I would get on Google and be looking at, you know, anything that your child is interested in, any clubs, any memberships that they're in. Maybe here in Texas, your family is into Ducks Unlimited, which is a conservationist group that helps with hunting and things like that. Check with DU to see if they have a scholarship. When I was growing up, my grandparents were founders of a club for people who enjoyed traditional jazz music, and they would have jazz concerts. Not that kind of a club, but a club like chess club, but for people who love jazz music. Anyway, I even asked them if there were any scholarship opportunities. Just find out what is out there and go look for those scholarships, okay? Now, if you're thinking about, well, what schools should I be looking at? Some words of wisdom there about what schools you should be looking at. Um, you know, first of all, of course, location and price is very important. You want to look at that Office of Disability and make sure they're going to be able to help you. And of course, you know, it's really important to see if they have the specific programs and degrees that your child wants. But a lot of people think that, you know, oh, we simply cannot afford a private school. We're not even going to look out of state. And I want to tell you, I'm here to tell you right now, ignore that feeling, because when a school is a smaller private school, you know there are more benefits. There are fewer students, a higher teacher to student ratio. Um, and it's more specialized. Your child gets more attention. Your child is not going to have to go to English 101 with 1,000 students in a giant auditorium. And the campuses might be smaller. Yeah, it might be out of state and there's travel costs with going to visit. But the thing is that when you have a private school, they are able to offer more scholarships. They are able to offer so many scholarships, as a matter of fact, that it would make the price comparable to an in-state school tuition. Because when you look at a school that is in-state, they have way more students, so they don't have as much scholarship money to go around. They have these ginormous classes, and it's a lot easier to get lost in the shuffle in a giant state school. So don't shy away from applying to private schools and asking for scholarships. Another thing that people don't know is that when you get that letter from the school, that is your financial aid reward letter, it's going to tell you what scholarships you're getting from the school, what scholarships and grants and loans are available through the federal government. And, what merit scholarships they're going to give you, that kind of stuff. That stuff is negotiable. If you write back to your admissions rep that you're talking to, and you say something like, I really, really, first of all, you're very, very thankful for any help they're already willing to give you. So thankful. We appreciate this so much. But we're also considering this school. And although it's further away and my child would rather go to your school, this school over here offered us twice as much in scholarship money or in a merit scholarship or, whatever. Don't lie. I'm not saying to lie. I'm just saying, or, maybe even though you're offering these scholarships and grants, the price of your school is just still a little bit out of reach. And if you could just give us a little bit more, we could feel confident in accepting your offer right now. Don't be afraid to negotiate. And just because we have all of these great resources doesn't mean that that's all that's out there. I learned just last week about a college in Florida that specifically serves neurotypical students. They're mainly talking about like ADHD and learning disabilities and things like that. But they definitely serve special needs students at this college in, I think it's Beacon, Beacon College in Florida. I also learned about Mansfield Hall, which is a residential dorm situation for students in several colleges. One is in Colorado, I think it was New Jersey, and there was one other state where they had dorms with Mansfield Hall. But there are so many opportunities out there if you just look for them. And these 3 books will help you find great colleges for your students. That's why we have them featured here. Now, other areas of financial planning and special needs planning that we can help you focus on are listed here. We do these webinars 2, 3, 4 times a week where we're giving out all of this free information, where we talk about special needs care plans and summer camps and residential options and how to file for SSI versus SSDI and the Texas waiver programs. We help families with ABLE accounts and beneficiary designations and special needs trusts. We talk about divorce and all kinds of stuff here at Consolidated Planning Group. We give this information out for free because we want to be there for you. We want to be your trusted advisor when it comes to special needs planning. And as that, this is our entire team. We are based, like I said, just outside of Houston. We are a small independent company, and serving families with kids with special needs is our 99% of our clients have kids with disabilities. It's not just something that we do once in a while. This is our entire focus. So you can rest assured when you're with us. Now, we give you all of this stuff for free. We want to give you one more thing for free, and that is a free personalized consultation. You are welcome, and we would love for you to call us and schedule your free consultation. You're going to have time to ask me or one of my colleagues any questions that you have already about whatever is going on in your life. You can ask us about special needs trusts or SSI benefits or how to save for college or how to plan for your retirement. You can ask us about guardianship, just anything that's going on with you and your family. We're going to look at kind of what you're currently doing and ask you some things and give you our advice and listen to you and get to know you a little bit. And then after we've answered your questions, we're going to tell you how we work and what we do and what we charge for our ongoing services. So we give you all of this free support through our webinars. All we ask is that you schedule your free consultation. You can use the QR code, or you can call the office or email the office. My preference would be that you call or email me personally, and I can set up your appointment. So I'm putting my phone number and email in the chat box. It's mmorris@cpgcares.net. I have a real problem with typing and speaking at the same time. But my phone number is there. My email address is there, and I would love to help you go ahead and get scheduled. So I don't see any further questions in the chat box. And I really, really appreciate you being here with us. So thank you for taking your hour to be here with us. I hope that you have found something helpful. Like I said, please don't hesitate to reach out with any additional questions or if any of my links don't work. All of our social media links are down here. There's Facebook, Instagram, our YouTube channel, and we also have a podcast. Some of our webinars just go straight over to the podcast. So if there's anything that we can do to help, I certainly look forward to serving you. Okay. Again, thank you, Nicole, for having us today. I hope you all have a great week. Happy February. Oh, I can't believe it's February already. All right. Bye, everybody. Thank you.